Welcome back to the Hollywood Con, where the glitter of fame hides some seriously dark secrets. Today, we're diving into a story that sounds like a pop music fairy tale, until you realize it was built on deception, exploitation, and one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in American history. This is the wild, unbelievable true story of Lou Pearlman, the man behind the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and a $300 million scam. It all started with a dream. Lou Pearlman was obsessed with flight, fame, and fortune. Born in 1954 in Flushing, Queens, Lou grew up idolizing success and envying the wealthy. His cousin, Art Garfunkel, gave him a front-row seat to the perks of celebrity, and Lou wanted in. He started with Blimps. Yes, Blimps. In the 1980s, Lou launched a company called Airship International, claiming it leased advertising blimps to major companies. But the truth, most of it, was smoke and mirrors. Pearlman exaggerated, or entirely invented, his client list and falsified insurance documents to convince investors that the company was legit. He even staged photos of his blimps flying above events they were never at. Despite its questionable foundation, Airship International went public in 1987. At one point, it was even listed on the New York Stock Exchange, making it appear more legitimate than it really was. Lou had a gift for making things look bigger and more impressive than they were. The illusion was part of the product, but his big con came wrapped in bubblegum pop. In the early 90s, Lou noticed how profitable boy bands were becoming, especially after the success of New Kids on the Block. So he decided to create his own. And just like that, Backstreet Boys were born in 1993. He hosted auditions in Orlando and brought together 5 young guys who would become global superstars. He followed that up with NSYNC, featuring a teenage Justin Timberlake and J.C. Chasez. Both groups skyrocketed to fame, and Lou was hailed as a musical genius. He built a pop empire out of thin air, complete with a private jet, a massive mansion, and an empire called Transcontinental Entertainment. Pearlman created a business model that combined music management, real estate, aviation, and investment, an elaborate web of interconnected entities that was nearly impossible to untangle. This made it harder for anyone to figure out where the money was actually going. But beneath the glitter was a shocking reality. Lou wasn't just managing these groups. He had them sign contracts that made him a 6th member. Literally, he took a cut from the artists, the record label, the merchandising, everything. The boys were working non-stop, selling out stadiums, racking up platinum albums, and still earning pennies. After years of grueling tours and international fame, the Backstreet Boys opened their first royalty check. It was $10,000, split 5 ways. NSYNC's members were also barely scraping by, all while Lou was living like a king. He had Ferraris, yachts, multiple homes, and a lavish lifestyle that seemed limitless. It wasn't long before cracks started to show. In 1998, the Backstreet Boys sued Lou for misrepresentation and fraud. NSYNC followed soon after. The lawsuits were messy and public, exposing the toxic contracts and raising serious questions about Lou's business ethics. But many up-and-coming artists still believed in his success story. Lou had a knack for convincing people he was just misunderstood. And behind the scenes, he was orchestrating something even bigger. While building his pop empire, Lou had also created a fake investment business. He sold shares in a fictional airline leasing company called Transcontinental Airlines, promising guaranteed returns of up to 10% annually. To make the scam seem legitimate, he forged financial statements, fabricated letters from banks, and even created fake accounting firms. He claimed the funds were FDIC insured, and that major institutions like AIG backed them. The scam attracted over 1,800 investors, many of them elderly or retired, who trusted Lou's charisma and supposed business success. The reality? There were no aircraft, no real investments, just a giant Ponzi scheme. Pearlman used new investors' money to pay returns to earlier ones, maintaining the illusion of legitimacy. His victims weren't just faceless strangers. They were friends, neighbors, and fans. He even convinced members of his own church to invest. And while their savings disappeared, Lou was throwing million-dollar parties and cozying up to celebrities. For a while, the con worked. Lou had the appearance of success. He schmoozed with celebrities, posed for magazine covers, and handed out fake stock certificates like candy. His empire looked bulletproof. Who would suspect the mastermind behind Bye was also running a financial fraud? But eventually, it all came crashing down. In 2006, the SEC and FBI launched investigations. Investors started demanding their money back, and Lou had no way to pay. His empire collapsed almost overnight. Offices were raided, assets were seized. Lou fled to Bali, trying to disappear from the spotlight he once craved. But hiding wasn't easy. Thanks to a tip from a German tourist who recognized him from a wanted poster, Lou was arrested at a luxury hotel in Indonesia. He was extradited to the US, where he faced a mountain of charges: conspiracy, money laundering, bank fraud, and more. In court, the magnitude of the fraud stunned even seasoned prosecutors. Lou had swindled over $300 million. Victims were left devastated, some losing their life savings, others forced to delay retirement, and many left with emotional scars from trusting a man they believed in. In 2008, Lou was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. A judge ruled that for every $1 million he repaid, he'd get 1 month off his sentence. Unsurprisingly, he repaid almost nothing. Lou died in prison in 2016 from a heart condition. He was 62. At the time of his death, only a tiny fraction of the stolen funds had been recovered. For many, the wounds were still fresh. But Lou's legacy is complicated. On one hand, he helped launch the careers of some of the biggest pop acts in history. On the other, he betrayed the very people who made him rich. In 2024, Netflix released a bombshell documentary called Dirty Pop, chronicling the rise and fall of Lou Pearlman. Produced by Time Studios, the series features exclusive interviews with former band members, investors, and industry insiders. It sheds light on how Pearlman's empire wasn't built on music. It was built on manipulation. The documentary highlights how Pearlman used the illusion of success to lure people into his orbit. With photos next to celebrities, office walls lined with fake awards, and a constant flow of luxury perks, he created a fantasy world that blinded people to the truth. So why did it work? Because Lou understood the power of dreams. He knew how badly people wanted a shot at fame, at wealth, at something bigger than themselves. He sold them that dream with charm, contracts, and just enough truth to make it all believable. He didn't just trick people, he recruited them into his fantasy. In the end, it wasn't just money he stole. It was trust. It was innocence. And for many, it was the chance of a lifetime. Thanks for watching this episode of the Hollywood Con. If you found this story wild and a little infuriating, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more untold stories from behind the curtain. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, in Hollywood, even the sweetest songs can hide the dirtiest deals.